Diving into the past, staring straight into the cryptic, this is the portal to the enigmatic and the unknown. This is where history's shadows, secrets of the occult, and the interweaving secret plots come to the light. Unravel the secrets lying dormant for ages, waiting to whisper their truths. From ancient civilizations' perplexing enigmas to modern-day conspiracies that shake the very foundation of belief, we explore it all. Witness testimonies, expert analyses, and a touch of skepticism. We're not just telling stories, we're seeking answers. Histories, mysteries, and conspiracies, where every mystery is a story, and every story holds a mystery waiting to be solved. Join us. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. Edgar Allan Poe. The air is heavy, and the dim streetlights cast long, eerie shadows. A disheveled figure slumped against a wall, muttering incoherently, his eyes wide but unfocused, as if he's trapped in some haunting vision. His clothes are tattered and worn, and they appear to not fit his frame. His face is pale and sweat clings to his brow. His lips tremble as he tries to speak. I am Edgar Allan Poe. On October 3, 1849, Joseph Walker, a pressman for the Baltimore Sun, was making his way to Gunners Hall. The occasion was election night, and the hall was the polling place for Baltimore's Old Fourth Ward. On his way there, Walker found a man lying in the gutter, confused, bedraggled, and under the influence of some type of intoxicant. A brilliant American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic was found delirious and incoherent on the streets of Baltimore, Maryland. The master of the macabre, Edgar Allan Poe, was quickly taken to Washington College Hospital, where he remained in a state of confusion and distress. Despite receiving medical care, Poe's condition continued to deteriorate. He ended up passing away on October 7, 1849 at 5 a.m., only 4 days later. At only 40 years young, he achieved much acclaim. Poe's last words reportedly were, "Lord help my poor soul." This cryptic statement, along with his final moments, has fueled speculation and intrigue about his state of mind and the circumstances leading to his death. The official cause of death was listed as phrenitis, which today is known as inflammation of the brain. The term phrenitis, used in his death certificate, was an antiquated term and does not provide a clear explanation. Modern theories suggest that Poe might have suffered from a range of conditions, including meningitis, encephalitis, or even substance poisoning, but no definitive cause has been confirmed. The most prominent is that he died from complications of alcoholism. J.E. Snodgrass, the doctor who saw Poe in the tavern, believed that Poe had been drinking heavily and that he ultimately succumbed to the tremors and delirium that can accompany alcohol withdrawal. Due to his consumption habits would lead many to believe that alcohol was the main culprit in this matter, but evidence of the influence of alcohol is strongly disputed. At the time of his death, he had recently joined a temperance society. John Moran, the attending physician at the hospital, was convinced that Poe was not drunk and hadn't been drinking in the days leading up to his death. The duration of his final illness and the fact that he seemed to recover slightly in the hospital before worsening and dying also seemed inconsistent with alcohol withdrawal. Poe's condition upon discovery was alarming. He was found wearing someone else's clothes, and no one could explain why or how he came to be in such a state. Poe's delirium seemed to get better and then worsen again over the last days of his life, a pattern observed in patients with late-stage rabies. Poe's hospital records indicated that Poe had difficulty drinking water. This may have been a manifestation of one of rabies' characteristic symptoms, a fear of water. The clothing, as well as his general disheveled appearance, suggested he had been wandering the streets for some time. One of the most intriguing theories of Poe's untimely death is that Poe was a victim of cooping, a form of voter fraud in the 19th century, where individuals were drugged and forced to vote multiple times for a political candidate. The tavern where Poe was found was being used as a polling place. It was common practice in the 19th century for voting to take place in drinking establishments. It has been proposed that he may have been caught up in electoral fraud. In a cooping scheme, gangs working for corrupt politicians would grab unwilling bystanders off the street and force them to vote repeatedly for a certain candidate. Victims were often beaten or forced to drink alcohol to make them comply. Disguises were used to allow the victims to vote multiple times. Proponents of this theory suggest that Poe's delirious state and strange clothing could be consistent with cooping practices. Another theory suggests foul play. Poe's literary rival, Rufus Griswold, who was responsible for Poe's obituary, might have had a motive to malign Poe's reputation. Griswold wrote a slanted, high-profile obituary under a pseudonym, filled with falsehoods that cast Poe as a lunatic, and which described him as a person who walked the streets in madness or melancholy, with lips moving in indistinct curses, or with eyes upturned in passionate prayers, never for himself, for he felt or professed to feel that he was already damned. Account of Poe's final days was filled with inaccuracies and sensationalism, adding to the confusion surrounding his death. The obituary began, "Edgar Allan Poe is dead. He died in Baltimore the day before yesterday. This announcement will startle many, but few will be grieved by it." Unfortunately, none of the medical records survive to help decipher this tale. Do you think the master of the macabre was murdered, or do you think the bottle took him? Nevermore, perhaps, shall we truly know. For more content like this, share, and subscribe.